I had never heard a scream like that before, one that tore through the night like it was made of knives. We had all gathered to see the prince's punishment, but none of us expected what happened next. The prince was feared in our village. His father, the king, was a good man, but his son, Prince Afolabi, was the darkest heart I've ever known. He was young, tall, and handsome, but everyone knew the truth about him. He had a taste for cruelty, a love for making others suffer. It started with small things. A missing goat here, someone's fields trampled there. But no one dared accuse the prince. The king's men would just laugh and look the other way. But one night, it went further. My friend Kemi, her daughter went missing. Just a little girl, not more than 7 years old. We searched everywhere, the river, the fields, even the deep forest. The entire village looked for days, but she was nowhere to be found. Kemi was heartbroken, but she wouldn't give up. And then she found something. It was near the river, in the trees where the hunters go. There was a piece of cloth torn and muddy. It was her daughter's, and it was covered in blood. And beside it, there were footprints, big, heavy ones that led back to the village, to the prince's chambers. People whispered in secret. They were scared, terrified even. But they were also angry. This wasn't a goat or a crop. This was a child. And it wasn't the first time someone had gone missing. A few brave men and women went to the king. They showed him the cloth, and they told him what they'd seen. At first, he denied it, defending his son. But when he looked at his son's face, something seemed to shift in him. The prince's smirk, that look in his eye, even the king couldn't ignore it anymore. That's how the prince ended up tied to the post in the center of the village that night. The elders had decided he would be judged by the spirits, by the ancestors. They would leave him out for a night, and if he survived until dawn, he would be free. But if he didn't, well, the ancestors would have their justice. The night was silent. Everyone gathered around, waiting. And then, just after midnight, we heard it, that scream. It echoed through the trees, chilling us to the bone. The prince was thrashing, his eyes wide with terror. He was staring at something none of us could see, something that seemed to surround him. One by one, people started to back away. Some covered their ears, and others whispered prayers. The prince kept screaming, his voice getting weaker and weaker, until finally there was silence. In the morning, when we dared to approach, he was gone. All that was left was the post, broken in two, and the muddy footprints that led back into the forest. No one has seen him since, and no one has ever spoken of that night again. But every so often, when the night is very still, you can hear a faint scream coming from the forest. Some say it's the prince, cursed to wander, haunted by the spirits he had wronged.